Welcome to the Last Mile Profits videocast, the last word on the last mile. Ongoing UK postal strikes be solved by shutting down part of Royal Mail? Find out after this. Modern Expo provides an integral ecosystem of screen-operated lockers, screenless autonomous solutions, refrigerated lockers, and even personal parcel lockers, powered by an in-house developed software. Well, Marek, in some European countries, these labour problems have been resolved, but they seem to be hanging on in the UK. So what's going on over there?
It's incredible, isn't it? I actually posted recently on LinkedIn that apparently the management are now threatening to have some kind of, I'm not sure, what did they call it? It wasn't receivership. It was, what do you remember what it was called? Administration, that's it. A government type administration, I think they said. Which is incredible. I mean, a company of the standing of Royal Mail that's been around, I think it's the first post office actually in the world, would be going into administration. That's really, really weird. And then, as you said, look, the Germans had some issues, but I think they've more or less resolved it with the unions. The Dutch had the same situation. Even the post office, which many people confuse with Royal Mail, looks like it's close to doing a deal with the same union. You've got a problem here.
It's unbelievable. I mean, it does feel like a bit of a punch in the nose to the workers if, we're not going to give you what you want. And instead of giving you what you want, we'll actually shut the business down so you'll end up with nothing. I mean, that's not even giving them a negotiation table, a place around the negotiation table.
I think, Peter, that's what it's all about, to try and put them in a corner. Because let's be very honest, I can't see, you have to be careful with this, but I think I'm going to say it anyway, I can't see Royal Mail being shut down in a million years. But what I can imagine is that, yes, it could get to the point where the government says enough is enough and takes over. The challenge is that generally my personal view is governments are not particularly good owners of companies. So would be going sort of out of the frying pan and into the fire. I do have a conspiracy theory, though.
Okay, well, we're on the internet, so this is where they live. Fire away.
So imagine this. So I have quite a nice business, which is GLS. I have bits of Royal Mail, probably Parcel Force, that are pretty good and making reasonable money, I would imagine. Certainly GLS is. And then I've got this problematic universal service obligation and all the parts that sort of touch that. Wouldn't it be nice to get rid of all the stuff that's difficult and keep all the goodies? So theoretically, there could be more in this threat than strikes you at first glance. Having said that, I can't imagine the current government, or whichever government's going to be around in a while, is going to make it so easy. What do you think?
Well, as in every case, there's no smoke without fire. So, I can see how that scenario can be imagined. It does seem like if you're going to undermine the current status quo, it's a pretty difficult one to dislodge from where we are today. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not a great believer in conspiracy theories, although I do believe the royal family is run by lizards and we didn't land on the moon. Beyond that, I don't know. The trouble is, I would love to disagree with you and disagree with this strongly, but there is a reasonable amount of credibility to that strand you're describing.
I think the key thing is, first of all, it could be a negotiation stance or something that will help, because it does sound a bit frightening. Better to take a package now than take or have a scenario where you might be out of a job, or where job insecurity is going to be a lot greater, or where if the government takes over, it's a completely different scenario. But, I think, Peter, the thing that for me is very disappointing is somehow the Germans, the Dutch, the other British company looks like they're close to a solution. So this suggests to me that this is something very interpersonal and, could it have been solved? It'd be really interesting. A lot of engagement in the past when we put our videocasts up on this topic, so it'd be lovely to hear what people say. The challenge, I think, is we've got to, from my perspective, Peter, is that the unions basically have no trust or frankly respect in the current CEO. The current CEO apparently isn't willing or able to change the way the game is played.
Do you think there's anything that the UK can learn from their continental friends in how those disputes were resolved? Was it a question of just throwing money at it?
First of all, I don't know the details, but generally speaking, you have unions in several countries. You have some unions that I would say very sort of outspoken. That's not the word. The word is perhaps can sometimes have some unreasonable demands. You have management sometimes who are not reasonable because at the end of the day, it's got to be a win-win. And I think probably what's happened here is there hasn't been enough win for one or other side, or perceived win, and that's why we're where we are. My personal view, and you know this, we've talked about this, Peter, is where you have good communication and trust, a solution can always be found. I have a feeling it's got to the point at which there is no trust, and the question really is, can Simon Thompson find a way out? Because it may be that actually, if you can't change the situation, you have to change the actors or one of the actors. Maybe I'm being a bit too tough.
Well, Marek, I'd like to think that there's a way out for the sake of the workers and for the sake of the industry. And talking about communication, as always, we'd like to hear what your views are on this topic, whether you're in the Netherlands, in Germany, in strife-torn France, or back in the UK, of course. Please put your comments below, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Yeah, I think that's really good. It would be super to hear from maybe people from Germany, from Holland, what they think made it work. You're right, France is actually a bit of another problem child, as it were, in terms of, let's call it industrial in general, I'd say, politician-public relations. But it'll be great to see what people say.
Absolutely. Well, look forward to hearing from you. Catch up with you soon, Marek. See you next time. Thank you for watching the Last Mile Profits video. For more free analysis of the last mile, please like, follow and subscribe below to ensure you are notified every time we upload new content.